On behalf of the Bix Jazz Society, we're happy that you're all here today for the third Bring Bix Back to the River cruise. And as some of you may know, Bix first learned about jazz right over there, just about above where that Ferris wheel is, on the levee. And actually, what's left of the old levee is right over there, right in front, behind the Figge Museum. You can see where there's still a program. It doesn't get used very much, but that was part of the levee originally. And Bix came down to the river and heard music, and he heard it on some of the major excursion boats that were running up and down the river coming from New Orleans, and he heard New Orleans style jazz, and he also heard jazz locally on a very famous boat that's no longer in existence that ran on this river back and forth called the W.J. Quinlan. And the Quinlan was built in 1904, and it ran until 1945, and I'm going to pay a little homage to the end of World War II as I do before we do this wreath signing. Bix learned music from the boats. Bix played on the Quinlan in the back of the boiler deck. Before it burned down in 1967 as a young kid, I actually played the piano that was still on that boat sideways. It wasn't a very good tune, and I had no idea yet that Bix had actually played on that boat, and that probably spurred my even more interest in the Beiderbecke Society and the music as a trumpet player myself. So I want to just tell you that over the 40 years that the Quinlan ran, it finished up his illustrious career, and it was because it was an icon here in the Quad Cities. If you were going to go from Davenport to Illinois, you took the boat. And until they built the Centennial Bridge, that was the only way to really get across with any ease. During World War II, and this is what I want to touch on, the Arsenal Island, and I'm sure I want to thank our captains today, Captain Scott, Captain Jeremy, for allowing us to do this again, and the whole crew, and also Susan, the Director of Marketing, for putting this whole thing together, working with us a couple years ago. The Arsenal Island had 16,000 people or more working around the clock to make cannons, guns, munitions to help win the war. It was a pivotal part of the winning World War II. And the Quinlan, by chance, happened to be the boat that got a lot of people to work every day. Thousands of people every day during the day took the Quinlan across the river to go to the Arsenal because they didn't have cars. They came out of the Depression. You couldn't buy a car during World War II. So they were really, really important. That boat was very important. But the other part was, at night, it became an excursion boat. And it was the largest excursion boat on the upper Mississippi River in one market. And the lineage is very interesting because this boat is the first large excursion boat since the Quinlan was pulled out of the water at the end of World War II. This boat is actually 200 feet long. The Quinlan was 112. This boat holds a lot more people, but the Quinlan had a dance floor. I was on it. It was oak. They had a bandstand. They had jazz musicians, and actually two of them, one that I got to play with before he passed away, Les Swanson, a piano player, and his brother had the band on the Quinlan for quite a few years, but when they were really young, they played with Bix. And I did not know when I played with Les Swanson that I could play with a guy played with Bix. Anyhow, just to wrap it up, so this boat, the Quinlan, was a direct descendant, or this is the direct descendant of the Quinlan, and the Quinlan played a really, really key part of World War II, and obviously Bix Beiderbecke's interest in jazz in his early days. So it's kind of a neat thing today to look at the end of World War II next week when they dropped the bomb and we saw the war wind down and the role it played in that war. But I also want to say that I also have done a lot of reading, and at night this boat became one of the hottest spots on the river to go recreate. And the people that liked it the most were the military people that were in the Quad Cities because they needed R&R where they worked at the Arsenal, and plus the Arsenal workers too. In fact, they say some of them just stayed on the boat and went to work the next morning. I don't know if that's true. So with no further ado, we want to come back to the real reason we're out here, and that is to drop a wreath in honor of Bix Beiderbecke and his wonderful life. This is two of his descendants. This is Chris Beiderbecke, his great-uncle, and his great-great-uncle, Jim Beiderbecke. And we're really privileged to have them here, but they're also involved with the Bix Society. And at this time, I'm going to turn the mic over. You guys want to say anything?
Hi, everyone. My name is James Beiderbecke. It's just really an honor to see the tribute to Bix and everyone for coming out. The band's great. I love this event. It was actually my wife Ashley's idea like 4 years ago or so. So third year in a row now. So credit to Ashley for the idea. Thank you all for coming out. Bix's memory is important, and to just see everyone having a great time means a lot. Bix wins.
Yeah.
The only thing we can do better is play the damn poor blues right now, which is kind of the theme of the Bix this year.
1, 2.
Also wanted to thank Laura, the director of the Bix Society, who's worked so hard to put this great event together this year again. And also TJ Moore and his fine band. TJ loves playing on this boat. If you get to St. Louis, you got to hear him down there, but you're lucky to hear him here, along with all the other great bands and musicians we have this year. So thank you all for coming out. We'll have a fourth one next year. We might do a separate one we're talking about. Well, that's not news yet, but we'll see what happens. So thank you all for coming. Enjoy the meal. And
Secret noise.
Digital.